his icebreaker speech, which is entitled, "The Day I Met My Hero's Hero." So please help me welcome Michael Martin. The day I met my hero's hero, the day I met my hero's hero, Michael Martin.
Madam Chair, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and maybe those working in the halls. Do you remember the first day that you had that father-son, father-daughter day, just the two of you together? What happened on that day? Life is full of events, and people we meet influence us in how we live our lives and how we conduct ourselves. It always helps to have a mentor, one that has strong attributes. Attributes like teaching, guiding, and encouraging. These attributes are how heroes are forged. But I'd like to ask the question, who is your hero? How would you define your hero? How would your hero define you? Everyone has a hero. I'd like to declare then that my hero is my father, because he has been that teacher, that encourager, that has led me to be who I am, where I am today. That I'm thankful. And that in my book, that's not only a hero, but my hero. But today is the day that I met my hero's hero. Little did I know that meeting this hero, it would change my life. Be one of the most defining moments of my life. It's 1972, and I'm 4 years old, and my dad wants to go to Vancouver to meet somebody. He's taking me with him. It's our first day together as father and son. The day is going to be epic. It already shows promise. Celebrities in those days didn't think much of security, certainly not as tight as it is today. But my dad worked for the RCMP, and I'm sure his credentials gave him the credibility and the sincerity of our visit. So here we are, and we knock on the door. And the door opens, and this behemoth of a man answers. A little scared, a little timid, I a little step back, a little step to the left behind Dad. Deep voice, the guy says, "Can I help you?" My dad inquired if he may have a few moments with his hero. He said, "Wait a moment. I'll see if your hero is in." He closes the door. All of them open up rather quickly. Waiting for a 4-year-old is not a very good thing, so this is good for me. "Welcome," he said, with a big smile. "Your hero awaits. Come in." As we walked past, he didn't look so scary no more. But now we walked down the hall into the room, and it looked like the palace of a king. It even had a throne. Actually, it was an overstuffed chair, overstuffed red and gold chair. And the man that sat in that chair got up right away, came across the room, and greeted us warmly. This time I stood back, and I watched awe as my father shook hands with his hero. I could see my dad respected this man. They must have talked for about an hour. My dad seemed to know a lot about him and followed his journey. My father's hero is none other than Muhammad Ali. A man of integrity, a man who lived by his convictions. He stood up for the little guy, and he even lost his title because he stood up for his convictions. Later it had been restored. Good attributes for a hero, don't you think? Ali soon noticed that I was having a bit of a problem keeping up with the conversation, and he stood up right away, and he started to do his dance. He says, "Put up your fists, show me what you got." And I joined in quite enthusiastically. He started to sing me a song, float like butterfly, sting like bee. Well, I thought this was great. It had a tune, a nice beat to it as well. He was teaching me how to spar. But then it happened. It's undocumented and not recorded by any media source, and you're just going to have to take our word for it. But I'm the only one in my side weight class to have knocked down the champ. My consolation prize was a huge bowl of cantaloupe and ice cream, even served in a silver tray. What an epic day that was. For my father, an autograph, a token to remember the day that he met his hero. This validated his hero. This day I will never forget, the day I met my hero's hero. So much of an impression that made on me, through the eyes and perspective of a 4-year-old, that this is one memory that I remember most, the first. This only a hero could have done. This is the day that I met my hero's hero. And this has been my journey and my walk. Shalom. Mr. Chair.
Wow, I am overjoyed and underworded, actually, because for once, I actually believe in the power of 1 degree of separation. So much, but did not know until this very moment that Michael and I actually have a connection that he doesn't even know about. So when you met Ali, the person that was running the P&E was Mario Caravetta, who's a sadly passed, but a really good friend. And he actually had been given, and now his son owns, a pair of Muhammad Ali's boxing gloves. And has, you know, how life is. If it had just been a couple of years ago that I had met Michael, I could have introduced him to Mario. And he's sadly hanging out with, not maybe sadly, but they're probably hanging out, sparring in heaven, him and Muhammad. Thank you for your hero's hero story. It really was interesting in how much we don't know about our new members. So we really welcome you to get up here, Kimberly, and do your icebreaker so we can learn more about you. It took how many months, Michael? But we got him up here, and wow, thanks for sharing that great story.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so Michael, be like a sponge when it comes to each new experience. If you want to be able to express it well, you must first be able to absorb it well. What thoughts does that bring to mind about experiences in life and how they've affected you? And I think it really relates to your speech, so there you go.
Perfect.
Yeah, just come over into it.
Madam Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Well, it comes down to like a sponge. A sponge is kind of really one purpose, that's to soak up as much as it can possibly contain. Sometimes to the point where it's actually dripping. And that's actually really a good benefit, because the more you know, the more you research, the more you put it together, the more impact you can actually make on it. The more thoughts you can grasp together and compile them together. When you do this, it actually gives a more broader perspective on what you're trying to convey and bring across. So, like a sponge, we should draw up all kinds of information we can. Not just take information from here, from there, or from different points, different places that are non-conforming, but more so that they focus and come to a concise, pointed, focused idea. So in this, I would say that, lost my thought for a moment. By bringing a final conclusion also has impact as well. And like a sponge, when you squeeze it, the water is all released. And when that water is released, it only means that the message has been conveyed. And that, I guess, is the end of the story to putting it together. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I was amazed at how quickly he took that idea of the sponge and put that out there.
This evaluation is to start Michael's Toastmasters career off right by giving him lots of positive encouragement and a few little nuggets to work on as he continues through his Competent Communicator Manual. The first thing I observed is that this manual looks as beat up and thumbed through as mine, and I've been in Toastmasters for 8 years. Good job, Michael. He's had this for about 3 weeks, and he's already been scouring it from cover to cover. I think that shows us something about the level of speech preparation. I'll just go through the questions that are asked in the manual for the evaluator. First off, the question is, what strong points does the speaker already have? Michael used no notes today, which shows that he has that ability to prepare in advance and come up to speak extemporaneously, meaning rehearsed but not memorized. That's a good quality. I also like listening to his calm, clear voice. He had a really professional rate of speaking today. It was easy to listen to him and follow, and very nice use of suspense and organization. The next question is, how well did we get to know Michael? I felt that Michael brought in the personal connection with this story and made it special to us. We got to know a little bit about him, we got to know a little bit about his values, but it wasn't what you might consider a typical icebreaker speech, if there is such a thing as typical, where it was just, well, I did this in my life and that in my life and that in my life. And in a lot of ways I find this more effective. Having a little story is a glimpse into somebody's past and what makes them who they are as a person. I enjoyed the approach. Did this speech reflect adequate preparation? Oh yes, Michael clearly prepared well, and that was evidenced by his ability to just come out and deliver this story. There weren't any weird pauses or hesitations. Michael did speak clearly and audibly. That was the next question. We've covered that already. Did this speech have a clear opening, body, and conclusion? I thought, yes, the organization was clear. Michael began by building up the suspense, and I love that. Because I'm so busy listening that I didn't take any notes yet, because I'm trying to figure out who's the person. I had an inkling, and I don't know why. He must have had said something that almost gave it away, but it was a good way to hook us in as an audience. Then the body of the speech followed through with what happened. Once we know who this special hero is, what happened during that time, and it gave us a little bit more about Michael's character. And there was a conclusion where he wrapped up, explaining, again, hearkening back to the beginning, what it meant to him to meet his father's hero. I think that there are a couple of things that you could have done differently to improve the speech, Michael. And the first one was that I did find that the pacing was a little bit distracting, because you seem to be going around in a circle quite a bit. Now for me, that meant that you couldn't make eye contact with me very much, and I didn't feel quite as included as I might have otherwise. So that's something you could work on for next time. Overall, the approach and the hook were fantastic. I love the fact that Michael didn't use any notes. He didn't have very many verbal fillers, if any. We'll leave that to the grammarian to comment, because he prepared so well. Madam Chair.
Thanks, Samantha, for such a succinct evaluation, and I concur wholeheartedly.
Michael, a nice opening, moved confidently into the space, great use of hand gestures. He moved around less in the space than he did in his speech, and what I liked was that when he did come quite forward, instead of turning around like he did in his speech, he came back, which I found way more connection with the audience, so awesome for that. And the only point to grow on that I had was to have a little bit more eye contact with the audience.
Now, Pat, are you prepared to give us a bit of a grammarian report? Yes. Perfect. So please help me welcome Pat.
Madam Chair and fellow Toastmasters. Michael, your speech with all those minutes was so incredible. I found the word "and" in all of that as your filler word. And there may have been more, and maybe I was listening so intently to the story that it was so good. I was amazed. In your table topics, you snuck in a couple so's, but on your first long speech, only the "and." What stood out as a sort of a phrase in that was, the day is going to be epic, because you caught, oh, this is going to be really neat to listen to, because you already built that in.
And right on time, that leads into the timers report. Help me welcome Jenya.
Toastmasters and most welcome guest. I'm going to give the timer's report. Michael, your speech was 5 minutes and 32 seconds. Table topics. Michael, you took 1 minute and 39 seconds.
Excellent. Now, since we have no general evaluator, I thought what we would do is go around the room and pick an area. If you are so inclined, you can say something as we go around the room.
I don't have anything specific, but a great overall meeting, and I did like hearing, I like when people are really prepared for the speeches, so I like that it was very apparent that Michael was prepared for his speech. And yeah, it was good.
I really enjoyed the speech. I'm like, whoa, first speech, that's really good. So I'm really looking forward to hearing like how you're gonna do once you get down all the movements and eye contact. It's just gonna be great.